I have read all of these books about manifesting your dream life, manifesting more money, and getting the mindset you need to attract everything you want. And I'm going to tell you exactly where to start. And I'm going to give you my honest reviews on how these have changed my life personally and where I think you should start if you've never read any books that has anything to do with manifesting before. Personally, these books are absolutely amazing, every single one of them, but we all know that different eras of our life will make us understand books differently. And also, some books will teach you more about one thing, while other books will teach you more about other things. All of these books are great, but I've learned very different things from them. And multiple of these books I've actually read more than once. So I'm super excited to get into how you can literally learn different things from them in different eras of your life. The books that we're going to go into in this video are The Law of Attraction, You Are a Badass at Making Money, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Alchemist, You Are a Badass, and The 48 Laws of Power. If you're new to everything about law of attraction, manifesting, getting your dream life, this is the book you need to start with. This book is super short. Like, you can literally read this in a day, and it explains everything with super simple language that anyone can understand. It even gives you the easiest 3-step formula to start manifesting your dream life. This book will literally change your perspective on what manifesting and law of attraction means. Instead of thinking that it's this cryptic, really hard to understand thing and what is energy and how does it even make sense, you'll read this book and you'll be like, oh my God, it all freaking makes sense. It even has a chapter about teaching children about the law of attraction, which should tell you that this book is actually very good at conveying very important information in a way that's super easily understandable. Every time I read this book, I get something new from it because it's a type of book that you can go back to and be like, oh, I'm not doing enough of this anymore. I forgot about doing these and these exercises. And it's a book you can go back to and find concrete exercises you need to do to make sure you figure out what your desires are, how you literally let them come into your life, how you allow them to come in. And it illustrates everything super easily, so you don't have to be super confused about what everything means. Every time I need a little pick-me-up when it comes to refreshing about the law of attraction, I go back to this book every single time. But this is not the book that keeps me motivated. This is a book that helps me find very easy, concrete tools to help me pick myself up when I'm having one of those days where I'm a little confused about, oh, what should I do now? If you want to get into the law of attraction, but you have no idea where to start and you want to actually learn tools that can take you where you need to go, this is the way to start. So simple. The next book that I would definitely recommend everyone to read once in their life is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Not everyone is going to like everything that this guy says in his book, but when it comes to manifesting money, you need to change your money mindset. And a lot of the things that this guy talks about in his book is that if you're constantly talking about rich people being bad people, you are putting yourself in a situation where you are repelling money. And apart from him sharing all of his wisdom about how to change your mindset when it comes to money, this guy also gives very concrete mentality, ideas about what you need to do when you do acquire the money. Because a lot of the times, the reason why we actually repel money, which you're going to learn even more about in this book, is because we do not know what to do once we have the money. You know how some people will win the lottery and they'll win millions of dollars, and then next time you see them, they have no money. That money is something that they're not vibrationally matched with, not because of only the law of attraction, which you can read more about in this one, but also because they haven't learned practically what to do with their money when they get it. And you might think, well, I don't have any money right now, so it doesn't make sense for me to learn this. You will repel money if you do not learn what to do with your money. Because you're essentially saying to the universe through law of attraction that you are not on the vibration as someone who is able to handle their money. You're saying to the universe, I'll deal with it when I'm there, which means you'll never get there. If you want to level up your money mentality, you need to learn about money before you get the money. The same way that kids that grow up in affluent families, they might not have access to their parents' money, but they grow up learning about how to handle it, how to manage it. And when they do get money from either their family or because they make it themselves or because they actually know how to make it from what they've been taught when they were kids, they know how to manage that money. So if you want to make money, but also want to know how to keep it, you need to learn how to manage your money, protect your money, and have a right money mentality. And this book has it all. After every single chapter in this book, there's also a little section with questions that you can answer. They're not crazy financial questions like a math quiz or an economics quiz. They're questions to make you think critically and to make you work as if you're already in the mentality that this book is hoping to teach you to have. If you have an open mind when it comes to getting financial literacy, even if you might not be exactly where you want to be financially right now, I will tell you, this book will set you on the path to getting the mentality and also the exact tools you need in order for you to manage the money you get and learn to think like a rich person. The next book we have to talk about is The 48 Laws of Power. If you follow me on my YouTube channel, you know I love this book. You might think, what does this book have to do with manifesting your dream life and manifesting money? Power has everything to do with manifesting your dream life. Because power doesn't only mean that you're telling everyone what to do and I am the king. No, power means your inner power. How do you administer and how do you create and how do you uphold the power that you are learning to create within yourself? This is exactly the reason why I always recommend women to read and learn to interpret this book to their own benefit. If you haven't already watched one of my 48 Laws of Power videos, I would really recommend that you go and do that because I've made so many videos on how you can interpret this to create your dream life, to get princess treatment, for becoming the coolest, most baddie version of yourself. This book can teach you so many things. It's all about the mindset you have when you sit down and read this. You can change your life so quickly and so easily once you sit down and read about these different laws of power and learn to apply them to different parts of your life. I like the short version of the book because I get a little distracted if the book is super long with a lot of long stories. I definitely recommend the long version of this book, but if you're someone who wants to learn and you want to learn quick, sit down and read this book. Or even better, sit down and watch my YouTube video first and foremost about the 48 Laws of Power and then read the book so that you can actually learn even more. But the one thing that I will say, that I will probably say a couple times in this video, is that when it comes to gaining power in your life and having the power to change your life, manifest the things that you want to manifest. Some of the things you're going to read about and some of the things that you might have to do to change your life to get the things that you really want to get might be things that you feel like, wow, I could never do that. But I'll say this one thing. If you look at the life you're living right now and you imagine you have to live that life for the rest of your life, wouldn't you also say, I could never do that? If that's how you feel, I would recommend to read this book and read it with an open mind, thinking, okay, maybe I will have to try some things that I might never try. Maybe I have to become comfortable with the uncomfortability of putting myself out there or taking risks or even just playing dumb. I'm telling you, the smallest things can make the biggest differences. It takes one video, one encounter, one call, one anything to change your life. And some of these laws of power could actually make that happen for you so much quicker. The next book we have to talk about is You Are a Badass. And not just you are a badass, but you are a badass at making money. This book I've read 3 times because every single time I read it when I'm in a new era and I've gotten new perspectives in my life. The reason why I really love this book is because it's written from a biographic point of view. It's written from the author's point of view. She tells you all of these stories about how she ended up making the money she wanted, how she ended up manifesting the life she really wanted. and the techniques and ideas you need to implement to get there. Sometimes it's nice to hear things told like storytelling. This book is definitely it. If you're someone who wants a fun, personal, down-to-earth way of getting into the law of attraction or learning how to make more money or feel more comfortable with making money, you need to read this book right now. This book is such a good way of getting a laugh while you're learning about something as important as energy and the energy of making money, taking chances, and becoming the version of yourself that you really want to become. One time I took this book with me to the gym and I spent 2 hours on the treadmill just walking and walking, reading this book because it was so captivating. It made me feel so at home with learning about all of these concepts. And this is a book, every time you pick it up, you have a new perspective because you can see yourself in the situations that this author goes through. She really teaches you how you can apply the law of attraction and money mentality and all of these things you need in order to attract money, attract wealth, attract prosperity, and become the best version of yourself. She teaches you that these lessons can come from every single point in your life. And she does it in a way that makes you laugh instead of feeling like you're in class in 5th grade learning about algebra and you have no clue what's going on. And as I said, every single time I read this, I feel like I learned something new. I feel like I resonate with different parts of the book more, and every single time I read it after having read maybe a book like this one or having read any of the other books that I'm going to show you in a second, I feel like I just learn something new. It's always such a good book to go back to. It's kind of like when you watch a movie that you've watched a million times, and now because something you've experienced has made you a different person or has made you have new perspectives, now you're seeing things with a different lens. This is how this book is, and you can pick it up almost every month and you will have a new perspective, and it will be something that you will just sit and you'll feel it in your heart that this book is just so good and it's so nourishing. This is exactly why I will also really recommend the regular You Are a Badass book, which is much more about becoming happy with who you are, knowing that you can do everything you want to do, and getting that mentality that not everything is lost. Everything is actually an opportunity, and you can take risks. You can try things out. You are actually the coolest person. You're so nice. You're so cool. You're so badass. This book is such a good motivation. It teaches you the exact mentality that this one also does, but this one is way more about making money and the confidence of making money. This book is way more about finding who you are in your confidence. It's so good. That's all I have to say. It's so good. I would recommend reading this one first and then reading this one after, but I honestly think you can do whatever it is you want to do. I think you can do whatever it is you want to do. So go check these books out. They're great. This is almost the last book we have to review in this video, and that's why it's also the thickest, because sometimes we gotta save some of the harder stuff for last. Honestly, this book is not hard to read, but this book is an old book. It's from the beginning of the 20th century, to say it the least, and it is a book about manifesting before anyone was really talking about it. The reason why I really like this book is because what he writes about, the stories he shares, and the method he uses, and the methods that he recommends us to use, these are universal. These are something that we can use today, and we could probably use 100 years from now, and they used them 100 years ago. And I really like and I really enjoyed reading all of the stories in here where he tells us law of attraction stories from basically 100 years ago and how these people implemented these things that changed their lives. This book is definitely not the first book I would recommend someone who's into the law of attraction to read, who wants to learn more and learn about it easily. This is for advanced players, and you'll get there very quickly, I promise you, if you just read the law of attraction or You're a Badass or You're a Badass at Making Money. You will literally be on track to understand everything that's going on in this book. But the language is definitely older, and sometimes you can find yourself wondering exactly what he does mean, because everything is a little more comprehensive. It's a little longer. It's a little more written in a way that's definitely not for beginners. It is not hard to read. It is fairly understandable, but it is not the book I would recommend for someone to read if they're starting out their journey of learning about the law of attraction. It is definitely a book that will take you very, very deep into the mindset of what you need to do to get exactly where you need to go. I've used multiple of the things that he suggests in this book, and one of the things he suggests is that every single day you have a saying or you have a statement that you say in the morning and at night. And when you have the statement where you offer the world something in return for all of the riches that you want, you will actually prime your mindset for being able to get this. And it's a super simple thing, but it's something that definitely makes you realize the power of your own mind, because one statement that you say every morning and every single night will put you on the path to getting everything you want. Because in the morning, your brain is a little more malleable, pliable, like your brain is really open for information. And at night, before you go to sleep, your brain also needs to be programmed to seek subconsciously for what you want. And basically, it's just really, really deep mentality stuff about how to become rich in your mentality. He teaches you the deep mental part about it. And the final book we have is The Alchemist. This book is not a book filled with instructions on how to prime your mind. This book is not a book where you have to do homework. No. This book is a story, and it's a very simple, short story. But I will say one thing. This book is absolutely brilliant. This might actually possibly be one of the best books I've ever read, and I will read this book over and over again, and I'll learn something new. This book is the book that keeps on giving, and it's written so simply. But the thing about very simple books is that sometimes you need to have a very open mind, a curious mind, but also a mind that is very, very focused on details. Because the thing is, this book tells you exactly how the law of attraction works. It tells you exactly how to manifest everything that you want in your life. It tells you exactly how to get where you need to go. It tells you the power of energy. It tells you the power of letting go. It tells you the power of trusting the universe. But sometimes reading a book like this might not make sense if you're someone who's completely new to the law of attraction. Maybe you're someone who is having maybe a rough time. Maybe you're not thinking, I wanna get into law of attraction. Let me just read this little book about a shepherd in the desert in Africa. That's not gonna work for you. It's probably not gonna work, not because I'm not saying this book is not gonna be great for you, but because sometimes we need things that are more concrete in order for us to be able to observe and understand the abstract and appreciate it. This book will be your greatest gift, but sometimes when we read something, as I said before, we need to have a perspective onto what it is that we are reading. Kind of like when you've been solving a math equation in school and you haven't understood any of it, but then one day after you've practiced it and practiced it and practiced it, now you're reading about some problem out there in the world and you're like, oh, this is what the equation is for. I know the math example is horrible because do any of us really like math that much? No, I don't think so. But sometimes when we learn something in school or we read about something or we learn something in our daily life, then a couple weeks later we experience something and it's like, wow, this all makes sense. Now I understand it. Now I see it clearly. This is the book. This is the book. And I'll read this book over and over again. I almost cried when I finished this book. I love this book so much. Another book that I really recommend that I don't have in this video because I don't consider it quite a self-help book, it might be for you book nerds a little bit more, is The Stranger by Albert Camus. If you've read that book is also similar to this one, but in a different vibe. Anyways, these were all of my self-help books that I've read that can teach you about manifesting money, manifesting all of your desires. And this is exactly why I think you should just get started. Get started, pick a book. I would say read this book first. It's super easy, but get started. The key to getting where you want to go is just getting started and just saying, okay, maybe I'll fail the first couple times, but give it a shot and you will get bit by the bug of manifesting.